I'm Glenn. Welcome to my show, The Business of Making Art. All of my material is for people who love what they do, or more likely, they want to love what they do. So I'm going to talk to some people here from Atlantic Canada about their work and what it takes to be entrepreneurial, to be artistic, or to do something or make something for the betterment of the earth. My guest today is Elisaveta Wynters. She goes by Veda. Veda is an amazing artist. She makes pieces like this one. And I can't wait to find out more about how she goes about the work that she does and how she gets the word out about all of her pieces across our beautiful region here in Atlantic Canada. All right, let's get into this. Elisaveta Wynters.
Let me just correct you. It's Elisaveta.
Elisaveta.
Yes.
Oh, that's excellent.
However, I also go by Veda because Elisaveta, while a beautiful name, is a bit of a mouthful.
Ah, but Veda.
Veda, which is, I think, life. One of my favorite songs is Living La Vida Loca. So I am a little bit crazy, but I do spell it slightly differently. So
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's say it now for the record. Elisaveta Wynters, jeweler, seamstress, chainmailer.
correct.
My personal favorite word, by the way. We're going to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But your operation is called Out of the Broom Closet.
It is, yes.
And I met you at an event where we talked for a moment about why we make the art that we make. So first, Veda, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored to be here.
Before we get started, what do you think of the fact that what we are doing right now is for Atlantic Canada? What does being Atlantic Canadian mean to you as an artist?
Well, actually, that's two different questions. What it means to me to be an Atlantic Canadian is warmth and outgoing people who like to make connections, kind and outreaching people. What it means for me to be a creator or an entrepreneur in Atlantic Canada is oftentimes competition, fierce competition, one that keeps me on my toes, to be polite about it. There's a huge well of entrepreneurship in the Atlantic provinces.
That's what I like to hear.
Very much so. Especially during times of, years ago, it was Obama shut the borders and we were looking at a recession, and then it was COVID and all of these things. Everybody and their dog picked up whatever craft they knew or learned to find a way around tight times.
So, little kick in the pants, maybe.
Like I said, it's very fierce competition. It keeps me on my toes.
So, tell me what you do exactly, because I know you do seamstress, chainmailer, jeweler.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
To put it in simplest terms, I am a Jean of all trades, mistress of none. But that also means that I have a wealth of tools that I can lean on, rely on, and offer. I started sewing when I was 5, of all ages. I used to hand stitch clothes for my Barbies. I started making jewelry when I was 12. I was shown knitting when I was 10, crochet when I was 12. So I've been crafty, like literally my whole life.
So you turned that into your profession.
Yes.
So tell me that story. How did you get into this specific thing here in Halifax?
Okay. So back in 2005, 2006, a group of friends and I were talking about a way to build ourselves up, I guess would be the best way to phrase it. We were all crafty people, pun intended, because we actually were a group of witches, not a coven, just a bunch of friends who are on that path. And in trying to figure out the name for our co-op, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this group of amazingly talented women, and I was like, we're all witches, like Out of the Broom Closet sounds ideal. And everyone was like, oh my God, that's perfect. And about a year or so later, we were still talking. And I'm very much, I don't do sit well. I'm very much a action person.
Ah, yes.
And,
again, my kind of person.
The fact that we were still quote unquote talking about this cooperative, I got very frustrated, and I was like, you know what? I'm taking this show on the road, folks. You're either with me or not.
Well, I want to picture it a little bit, because here you are with a group of people in a collective.
Yeah.
And for my audience's benefit, my audience of self-starters, entrepreneurs, artists, and or someone trying to make their place in the world, however they do.
Mm-hmm.
What are these other people doing in that collective? Are they also chain mailers? Are they also doing seamstress stuff? Like, are they what kind of stuff?
One was a yarn artist. Two were visual artists. They worked with paint and stuff.
Okay, so there's a diversity of different things in this group.
And that was a big part of why we were looking at it. So we had two that worked with paint. We had one that did woodworking. We had one that did sculpting, and then knitting, crochet. Myself, at this point in time, I was a seamstress. I wasn't working with jewelry at that moment. I'd been making jewelry since I was 12, but that aspect of my life had paused after a couple of years. So finally, I was like, you know what? This inaction isn't getting me anywhere. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna, I'll start working with sewing, etc., and offer that out.
So I want to stay on that for a second, because you and I met briefly, because there's lots of people at the event at I believe it's called the Witches Market.
Quite possibly.
It was before Halloween. I remember it was early October, I think. And I bought a piece from you, and we were going to talk about that. I'm going to save that till later, because I want you to talk about that afterwards. I want to tell you what it means to me. But we met there, and there is quite a demand for witch-themed. What would you call that genre?
I don't know. I mean, I don't specifically make jewelry for witches. I do make jewelry that witches appreciate. I also make jewelry that geeks appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd put me in that category.
There's a large call for alternative or gothic or witchy accessories, clothing, etc. I find that community at large, it's a growing one. People are discovering who they are. They are discovering that they're a little in tune with nature. Maybe for myself,
I can't see that being anything but good for the earth.
Exactly. For me, it's not just about being in tune with nature or the elements or the universe. For me, it's also, I'm an intuitive medium. I'm an empath. So that's why I define myself as a witch.
You're working with lots of people then. So when people come to you, whether they are coming to you to check out your jewelry or the items that you are making in the collective or on your own, or they're coming to you for whatever services that you render, what are they looking for? What is the common thing that they are looking for when they're stepping into your parlor, so to speak?
That's a varied question. I couldn't even possibly begin to offer an answer for that.
I see.
As an empath, a lot of people are drawn to me, kind of like a lighthouse.
Okay.
Whether it's they're experiencing a dark time in their life, or perhaps they need some guidance in their life in that moment. Something is bothering them. Whatever reason, people stop in front of me. I've even had dogs with their humans stop on a walk and look at me just entranced. I kid you not.
You come off to me as a very positive person.
I try to be.
My personal belief is that if you have a lot of positivity and a lot of energy, so to speak, it will come out. Yes. It will come out to other people. Do you find that the people you work with pick up on that easily?
Very much so. And it's not just positive people that are drawn to me. Some negative people are as well. Or people that are experiencing negative times in their lives. They're not necessarily always a negative person or toxic person, but there's something in their lives in that moment that, for whatever reason, resonates. They see me, they stop. I find a lot of people, if I start speaking with them, I will get a message come down to offer them. Sometimes I don't know what the message is. I don't know what it means to them. I just know that it needs to be said.
I think that there's something beautiful in that when somebody is seeking, I'll put this, I'm going to fumble this wording a little bit, but when someone is seeking answers from the universe, so to speak, in whatever way that they do, I think it's wonderful that that there's you and there's people like you who have, and I like that word you used, alternative, that have an alternative way to explore that just being human on this earth and what that means. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm on the ball with what I'm saying now?
There's so many ways to answer that. There really is. I know that I don't fit into a cookie cutter mold. So
you know what I'd say? I think Veda, I think that's something that a lot of artists with that burning desire to do what they are passionate about, what they feel is their contribution to the world. I know what I think. I feel that too. It's like it's like I say, fitting into a mold. Yep. It's like I don't want to say conforming because it means I'm going to stop for traffic lights. But, I'm going to do what they tell me to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be a good person of the earth. But what I'm saying is that when you're exploring yourself, or maybe, as you said, maybe people are trying to get out of a place that is not a good place and they want to explore their artistic side.
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to tell you, I think it's wonderful that there are people in Atlantic Canada, such as yourself and Amanda, who's joined you here today, that exactly, that who have something to offer to for people to get to a place where they can feel like they belong on Earth.
Yes. At the moment, I am doing what I can to live my best authentic life, and I strongly encourage others to as well if they're able to. Not everyone is.
Well, I'll tell you what. On that note, let's take our first quick break, and we'll be back right after this. Out of the broomcloset.ca is a showcase of jewelry, chainmaille, and other pieces made by Atlantic Canadian artist Elisaveta Wynters, who goes by Veda. Whether you are a witch, a geek, or maybe you're just into cool accessories, to find out when Veda's next appearance will be at a show selling her stuff, or to buy directly from the website, go to outofthebroomcloset.ca. Check that out. All right, everybody, let's get back into this. All right, we're back.
We are.
Veda, you touched on this earlier, but I want to dive into it just a little bit. Tell me about the art scene here in Atlantic Canada from your perspective. What do you feel you are up against when it comes to making a go at doing what you love?
I am up against, well, let's see. The jewelry that I make, mostly I focus on the chainmaille, but I also do wire wrapping, and I do polymer clay, and I do resin work. So because I have the 4 different aspects of the jewelry that I offer, I am up against chainmailers, I am up against wire wrappers, I am up against polymer clay artists, I am up against resin workers. And on top of that, I am up against yarn artists, I am up against visual artists, I'm up against content creators who do comics and artwork and sewing fabric artists. There's so many of us who are all vying for the same dollar in this province that if you don't stay on top of your game, you're going to get left in the dust.
I see.
So a big part of what I do is typically every first quarter of the year, that's my quiet time. Anything after Yule until probably March, April, that's when I get the chance to learn new techniques. If it's chainmail, learn a few new weaves. I do a lot of research. I watch videos. I do watch tutorials. I read a lot of PDF.
You do your homework.
I do a lot of my homework. And by doing that, I'm able to expand what I offer, whether it's, example, learning a new weave. I started off learning Euro 4-in-1 and Byzantine in chainmail. Now I can't even fathom how many weaves I have under my belt. There's a lot.
Do you find that? But are there any barriers that you find are specific to here? Is there anything about being in Atlantic Canada, in this market, the size of the market that we have, that kind of thing? Do you find that Do you find it is tough to work with the amount of people that live here in terms of a market?
Yes and no. I mean, there are often times that you get into an event and it's flooded. For example, a friend of mine, and this is one of the reasons why I don't offer knit or crochet in the market, because that aspect of it is flooded. I've got one friend, she was just at an event last weekend. There were 7 people that offered crochet in this one event, and it was a small room. I mean, it was like a larger room than what we're typically at, but it was still small in the grand scheme of things. And to have 7 yarn artists all vying for the same dollar, all offering almost identical wares, is a problem, because now they're all fighting for that $1. For myself, with chainmailers, I've been to an event where there were 5 other chainmailers there. I've been to an event where there were 3 other wire artists there. And this is one of the reasons why I constantly try to learn new things, not only for my own repertoire, but just to expand my tool chest of what I'm able to offer. And that's what I mean by, if I don't keep on top of my game, I'm left in the dust.
Describe the product. When you're doing chainmail, what would the product look like?
The product can look anything like bracelets.
Okay.
It could be necklaces. It could be earrings. I could do dice bags. I actually have made clothing. And for the point of your podcast, for the visual aspect of it, I can actually send you some photos that you can slip in.
Oh, absolutely. I have your item here. I'm going to get to, but we're going to, and we're going to plug your website in the commercial break too, which is great.
Yeah, the website actually is a really great place to see my portfolio of what I offer. That's why I built it up, so that if I'm applying for a show, the people that are organizing it can go to my website and see what my skill level is, and what I offer, and what kind of things there are.
I'm just curious from a logistical point. How did you develop your website? Did you make it up yourself?
There's actually been a few iterations of my website. There was one that I made years and years and years ago. It was a simple word site. WordPress?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay, so I did that one.
I use the same, yeah.
And it was literally just a drag and drop. And the very first one, because we were trying to add items again for a portfolio, we overloaded the site and we grew beyond its capacity. A number of years ago, I actually took a course on building a WordPress site from the ground up, not a drag and drop one, but the actual coding in it and everything. I had that just until last month, I think. I decided to switch over to a more simplistic site. I'm not as involved with the site as I had hoped I would be, so I went with something a little more simple.
I think so I think the main thing, whereas you make items for sale, and people can buy directly.
They can. I do have a Square site, and the link is available through my website.
Okay, we'll plug it here. Yeah, exactly. How do you find? What would you say would be the ratio that you're selling up to people who are going and finding your work, say online, to going to events and stuff like that?
I can easily answer that one. I don't put as much effort into my website as I should.
So you're making most of your business by live,
in person,
face to face.
Yeah,
that must be interesting.
It is. A big part of that is because I have a day job. I work full time for my day job. So between that and making an item, which a bracelet could be 45 minutes, and then I have to photograph it, and then I have to edit the photograph, and then I have to come up with what kind of writing am I going to use to describe that product. Meanwhile, that hour of work just to have that ready for online sale is another bracelet. So I very much prefer selling in person. I can focus on that, and then I get to meet interesting people like yourself, because we wouldn't have connected if you had bought whatever online.
I'm glad I went to that, by the way. That was interesting. That was packed event too.
Yeah, the witches events.
Yeah, the witches market. It was the time of year. I mean, it was placed before the Halloween season, in the beginning of Halloween season. But there were people at the door.
Yeah.
With the clicker. As people went out, they were letting people in because they were at capacity for fire regulations.
A number of marinas events are like that, yeah. I've actually started an event where doors open at 11 o'clock in the morning and people are lining up at 10 o'clock to get into the event.
How'd you do with that one this October?
Most of Marina's events I do very well at.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Marina Smith would be the organizer. She does Have Yourself a Gothic Little Christmas.
Okay.
She does Last Minute Christmas Craft Fair. She does a Yule event. And then there's the Mystic Moon Fairs and the Witches Markets. There was Geequinox last weekend. She's got Once Upon a Fairy Tale coming up in June, as well as another Mystic Moon Fair. So she keeps a lot of us pretty busy throughout the year.
Oh, good. So lots of opportunity there. So your online web stuff would be a bonus.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So you're depending on your for getting the word out about your stuff. You're very hands-on.
I am. I have to wear all the hats because I can't afford people to do them for me.
Ah, there you go.
So yeah, it's I have started off. Out of the Broom Closet was registered in 2007. Our first event was a Beltane event at the UU, the Universalist Unitarian on English Street.
Okay.
That event was held by the MPGFA, the Maritime Pagan Gathering Festival Association. So I've been around a while doing this. And the very first event was, oh goodness, we had truffles. We had cookies. We had a couple of hand-sewn items, I think. That wasn't yesterday. I can't remember all that we had.
You know what? I'm just picturing that there's you've been to a ton of places. You've made a ton of things.
I have
a varied number of things.
Yep.
But when you're working, who are you serving? Who are you picturing when you're doing your work? When you're on your territory, so to speak. And we're going to expand on that in a sec. But
I am picturing a lot of people who are starting on the path of discovering who they are.
It's interesting. And so they are starting on that path, or they might be somewhere on the journey.
Yeah.
What are they? What are you bringing to them? What are you trying to? How are you serving them? How are you picturing you're serving them?
Hopefully, just reminding them that there's some light in the world.
Okay.
And that I'm hoping that I'm that light that they need in that moment.
Would you agree or disagree if I were to say that when you are making an item, you are that love for your desire for helping the person who will buy that item or own that item or have that item, that is coming out into the item as you are making it.
Positive energy goes into everything that I make.
That's interesting. I have a similar philosophy in that, the thing I've been saying on my website, everything that I do, is that if you love what you do, if you truly love what you do,
then you don't work a day in your life.
Well, exactly. You know what? That's a good way. I haven't never thought about it that way. I always say that it will come out in the product, in the things you say, in the things you do, and that is infectious. It's good for the earth.
It is.
So you're on my team then.
Yes.
Excellent. So what advice would you have for people, perhaps young people, perhaps people from our Atlantic Canadian community or anywhere, who want to follow their dreams, who want to do that side thing that they love, who want to, or maybe even transition into whatever it is and make a career of it, to make a go at doing that thing where they can inject that love into the work they do every day? What would be your advice for the person who is thinking about getting into doing a business like you do?
Take that first step, because you won't succeed if you don't. Don't worry about the big stuff. You can sweat that later, but you have to take that first step. Whether that be watching a video, a tutorial, reading a book, just take that first step. Don't let fear hold you back. That would be, I think, the biggest thing.
We'll introduce Amanda after, because no, I think it's great. I love having people in the studio. It's wonderful. Veda, I love that message because I just put out a video, my first video of my other show, the Objective G, is that G stands for gratitude, not Glenn, but it kind of stands for both. Anyways, the point is that the video I did was about starting because it
Yes.
was the real first video.
I saw that one.
Oh, did you? Oh, good, good, good. And that's the thing. My message to anyone starting literally anything, who wants to do literally anything that is hard to do, that takes work,
It does, yeah.
is to start. No matter, and to your point, no matter what that looks like, because that could be, like you say, it could be picking up a book and reading about the thing that you're interested in.
Yep.
It could be going and talking to someone who's been there before, maybe seeking mentorship, or it could be just a matter of sitting down at your desk and just start typing or whatever, or writing out on paper or whatever you do.
Out of the broom closet, things I've done with this business. Initially, like I said, the first starter of it was a collective of crafty, talented women who were looking to make a mark in the world. And out of the broom closet, the idea of it started off as a coffee and bookstore. That's not where we are now. I started off with a friend of mine, Tia. We were looking at, she wanted to do baked goods and I wanted to, I don't know, just get stuff out there. And again, at that point in time, I was heavily focusing more on sewing. So I was making cloaks, I was making costumes. From there, I went into Renaissance, big tippet sleeves, corseting, long, beautiful gowns. And from a pagan or a witch's perspective, ritual wear. From there, it was, well, we're going to order in some trinkets, some bits and bobs to offer, like keychains, jewelry, whatever. And one of the items that we ordered in arrived broken. And I looked at it and I was like, I can fix this. Hold out my tools. And I was like, what? Why are we ordering jewelry? Why are I haven't made jewelry in a while. Why are we ordering jewelry? And that's how I got back into making the jewelry.
There you go.
In 2009, I was at the Harborview Weekend Market, which I believe is no longer in operation. But somebody I met there was doing chainmail and wire wrap. Actually, he was doing chainmail, she was doing wire wrap. It was a couple.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? As somebody that focuses on medieval and Renaissance outfitting, I would love to be able to offer that to my clientele. And that's how I got into the chainmail and the wire wrap.
Actually, you know what? It's interesting. Every time I have a guest, I learn something about what resources are available to me, both for my business, but also for my life. And I'll have to keep in mind that you can do the long kind of that your style is the colors that I like, the style that I like.
Yep.
I very, very much grew up with influenced by a Gothic culture.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly it would come from, in popular culture, it would have been, my favorite film of all time is The Crow, where Brandon Lee died. That was it, that the style of that, Michael Wincott's performance, and of course the reality of the fact that the man passed on doing what he loved, and it was a tragedy. Yeah. I mean, just the fact,
curse of the family struck again.
Exactly. His father, of course, being the legendary Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then 1989, there was in my opinion, the best Batman movie, where we got to see Gotham City through the eyes of Tim Burton, who is who is legendary in the genre, again, in popular culture. Yes. And I grew up with those, just liking shiny.
Michael Keaton is the best Batman.
No question. You know what? Hands down. I would even go as far to say that Jack Nicholson was the best.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. You see, you're from my generation. See, that's it. That's perfect. But yeah, the point is that you always learn about what's available, and if you're into a Gothic kind of look or culture, and you wanted an item that was maybe a custom-made item, like maybe a shirt, a jacket, whatever, or something more elaborate, you do that sort of thing.
I do. I totally do custom work.
And so would you take so would that I'm just trying to picture it. So would that be somebody would reach out to you on your website or see you at an event?
Yeah.
They would ask you if you'd have some items there for them to see.
Correct.
then they could say, okay, I like this, I like that. This is kind of what I'm looking for. You then work with them to come up with, I guess, a blueprint, so to speak, and then you would make the item and you do the arrangement. I'm right there. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Do you do a lot of custom work?
I have over the years. I definitely prefer to do my own thing. I find with what I work with, there's something there for everybody, literally and truly. Doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter the genre that they're looking for, doesn't matter the community that they're part of. I have something that's there for just about everybody.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
And a big part of that is because I have so many facets of my own personality that go into everything.
Veda, I could talk to you forever about your style. I want one more question about your style, and then I'm going to move into section 3, where I have where I ask the same question to all of my guests. And this is the so I just want to ask you: is there something you'd like to tell me that I'm not asking you about your art itself, about the items? So, for example, I know you make the jewelry, and we're going to show a piece in a minute, and I've probably already put up some pictures. And we've talked about your the seamstress bit, so the custom clothing, and yeah, exactly. And the other one was we talked about the chain mailing.
Yes.
My burning question here, just out of curiosity, is: do you have a favorite?
No, everything I make is like a baby. It's like my child. I can't pick one. The way that I work, though, what I do, the reason why I do it, I live with depression and chronic pain, which we've touched on off camera. And chain mailing, wire wrapping, all of it is a way to help me live with that, hopefully without chemicals.
Okay.
So I don't take antidepressants. I don't take SSRIs for my OCD.
That's interesting.
Being able to focus on the chainmail or the knitting or the crochet or whatever I'm working on helps me to put all of that mental stuff aside to focus what I've got in my hands.
Okay.
If it's a high pain day, I can do the more logical pattern side of it, the chainmail, because you have to follow a pattern or a weave to get something finished.
That's true. Yeah, you would.
A lower pain day allows me to have more creative control over what I'm doing. Okay. So that would be the wire wrap or the resin or that sort of thing.
I think when I remember having this discussion back in October. The wording that I put to you and you agreed with at the time, and I'm sure you still will, is that when you are making your art, when you are doing your thing, when you're making something, you are on your territory.
Yep.
You're in your place.
Very much so.
I do very much the same thing. That's how I picture that, is that, and for the benefit of my audience, when you get into a place like that, it's very hard to be thinking about, we'll say, just for the sake of a colloquialism, we'll say your troubles. It's hard to be thinking about your troubles when you're focused on making something that you love. You would agree? Yeah,
it's very zen. It's very zen. I get into a focus and time slips by and suddenly it's 10 o'clock at night and I'm wondering why my eyes are sore and I'm having a hard time staying awake. It's like, oh, I've just been working for 5 hours. No wonder. Maybe I should put these down and give my hands a rest.
That's awesome, Veda. That's awesome. Yeah, I knew we had that in common. When I'm throwing down these pieces, it's like I'm not thinking about anything else. The time just flies. Yeah. I don't even notice. And I almost forgot to go pick up my daughter once from school. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I got her on time, just later than usual. And
that's why you set alarms on your phone.
Yeah, you know what? That's Veda. That's exactly what I did. I picked up a new habit to make sure that when I get lost in making my art, I won't forget. Actually, you know what? It's a good time to go to. We'll go to section 3. So we'll be back. We'll be back right after this.
Perfect. Alarm that I meant to turn off in 3 minutes.
Hey everybody, I'm Glenn Friel, Atlantic Canada's artist publicist. I just launched my consulting practice and I am open for business. If you're an entrepreneur, an artist, or any kind of self-starter who's looking to get established, or you're building something, that's what I do. Whether you just want to make a plan or you want me to build it for you. Either way, all you do is you go to glenfriel.com, sign up for a free consultation, and we'll go from there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for the support out of the gate. Let's get back into this. All right, we're back. Veda.
Yes.
Veda, I want to show you this. This is a piece that I bought, and I'll do some shots afterwards. But this is a piece that I bought from you in October, and I wanted to tell you. Here, I'll let you hold it.
Oh, I remember it.
I wanted to tell you the reason why I bought this particular piece. The reason I got this piece is because I wanted a chain to wear when I go dancing.
Right, the heavier chain.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, you suggested that and that was brilliant because it was on a lighter chain. It was shorter, and I'm about 6 feet tall. And the way I was going to wear it down with a collar shirt, it made more sense to have a longer chain. And you suggested, oh, I've got longer chains, and you switched it out, and it was great. That made lots of sense. I love this. But the reason I wanted to get it was because I wanted something that I liked. That I felt good about, and of course, it's my color scheme. It's got the silver, the pink. It's got the black. It's got a little bit of the what was that color you said earlier? It was not blue. It was
cobalt.
Yeah. The sparkles. The sparkles are cobalt. I love it. Anyways, I wanted to wear just the chains. I don't wear a lot of accessories when I go dancing with my friends once a month. And people will say, "Oh, that's cool," and then of course, the women will come up and they'll say, "Oh, look at that, that's great. It's good to get some attention. I'm a single guy after all." Anyways, the point is that I love this. This is good work, and I love it. I use it once a month.
Well, thank you.
Tell me about this though. Tell me about making this. What would that have? What in any way that you like? Tell me about this item.
Oh, okay. The items involved, the crafting involved, it's a piece of resin.
Okay.
So it would have been made in a mold. Sorry. Alcohol inks are added to it for the coloring. I'm guessing where it's got the sparkle. Yeah, it's got some. It's called rainbow alcohol ink. So it's by Marabou.
I love that, by the way. It's a nice touch.
It's a beautiful piece. It's one of my favorites. It's backed with stainless steel bezel. I have opted to move to a stainless steel platform because I find a lot of people in Nova Scotia have nickel allergies.
Okay. I didn't know that was a thing.
It is. It's very much so. People can't wear silver-plated jewelry or just regular metals. There's a lot of people. And I would wear earrings. I would make earrings. And a lot of the people, oh, I can't wear this, I can't wear that because I have a nickel allergy. And I looked into it and I was like, okay, stainless steel. It started with just stainless steel ear wires, ear posts, so that people can wear that through their earlobes.
Oh, yes, directly in, not only on the skin, but through the earring hole. Yeah, absolutely.
And somebody who is especially susceptible, topical is actually an issue too. Like it'll leave a chemical burn or their skin eats through the silver plating or something to that effect.
But no problem with the stainless steel.
No problem with that. So I switched over to stainless steel. And when I'm working with chainmail, it's anodized aluminum or stainless steel, both of which are nickel-free. But in this particular case, it's resin. And I love these because each one is unique. It doesn't matter what I try to do to it to duplicate it over a broad spectrum of items. Because it's resin, there's a thermogenic reaction. And that moves, like think of your coffee in the morning when you put cream in and it starts to stir on its own. The more heat an item has, the faster the molecules spin.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with resin because as it's working, it's heating up, there's a thermogenic reaction to it. So even if I put this color, this color, this color, this color on 5 different pieces, the thermogenic reaction makes them all unique.
And you know what? There's an element of entropy in the piece as well, because like I say, as the different components kind of come together in the resin, so to speak, it makes it so that it's there's a pattern, but the pattern is based on there's a bit of randomness in there as well.
Exactly. I have no control over. I I have the control over it of what colors I choose.
And proportions.
And then I stir it up a little bit, and then I just leave it go. And 24 hours later, I take it out of the mold, and it's like Christmas morning. I get to see what happened.
Well, I love this one because it's the same as my paintings that you see in other
It is,
shots.
actually. It's very similar.
Yeah. Because I love these paintings that I will that you can see in my other videos, because that's this wall is the background. But they have they're it's the same concept. They are done with some kind of oil that mixes and makes kind of a bubble. Do you know what I mean? And then yeah, you swirl it around and stuff like that. But I love this because I can wear the concept on me. So I take it with me, and it's the same colors. I love it. Just before I ask the final question, the question I ask all of my guests. You have a website you mentioned, and your work is very much for sale. Where can we see your work, and how can we buy from you?
Where can you see my work? In person, I am that bad penny that turns up at so many events across the Maritimes. I'm just recovering from surgery, so there are a couple events that I would have been at that I had to give the pass to this year.
And I wish you well in your recovery, by the way.
Thank you. Things are going well so far. In fact, I've got an event coming up next weekend, 2 weeks? 2 weeks, CaperCon. That'll be my first event of the year. It's in Cape Breton at
2 weeks.
2 weeks, Center 200. After that, I've got
CaperCon. I'll put up a link. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool.
After that, I've got an event in June. That's going to be Once Upon a Fairy Tale. That will be at the Mayflower Curling Club. That's here in Halifax. That is, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I might have a second event. I want to see how I do with these two first events, how I'm doing with the recovery and everything from hip surgery. But yeah, my website, there's all kinds of, I've got a schedule of events listed on my website. So there's...
Oh, good. Okay, perfect.
There is, yeah.
And your website again?
Outofthebroomcloset.ca.
Outofthebroomcloset.ca. That's pretty easy to remember.
It is.
Great URL.
So.
Yeah, good for you.
But yeah, on any given year, I'm normally at 15 different events throughout the year. I've traveled as far as Montreal. I've been to New Brunswick. I've gone to Cape Breton. This year, we're looking at, again, CaperCon, Once Upon a Fairy Tale. Sussex, New Brunswick has the annual flea market in August, I want to say.
You know what? I think so. I am from New Brunswick. My bloodline is from New Brunswick, and not Sussex, though, a little bit further north in Grand Lake. But yes, I've heard of I'm up on Sussex stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's in August. But yeah, check. But check your
definitely. It's constantly changing and evolving as events that I've applied to are confirmed.
Outofthebroomcloset.ca.
Correct.
Exactly. And you have your schedule. I say schedule is there. Excellent. Veda, here's the last question. Oh, and before I ask the last question, I want to thank Amanda for coming. It's always nice to have guests in the studio, and I wish you well in your upcoming venture. Maybe we'll see you here in the future.
She's doing what she's doing out of love. She'll be fine.
Excellent. Well, you have good mentorship here, so that's wonderful. Veda, I'm just started. I don't have a big audience yet, but I'm working hard, and I have a dream audience. That dream audience is Atlantic Canada.
Uh-huh.
And anyone who is interested in Atlantic Canadian culture, particularly the work that we do here. Mm-hmm. If my entire dream audience were listening to this right now and they're really paying attention, what would you want to tell them? What would you have to say to them to finish off this episode?
Wow, nothing like putting a person on the spot. What I tell my kids, be as true to yourself as you can. Be as authentic to yourself as you can. Have fun with who you are. And if it puts a smile on your face, it's not a waste of time.
I think that's a great place to leave it for today. For Elisaveta Wynters, or goes by Veda, outofthebroomcloset.ca. I'm Glenn Friel. Thank you for watching this episode of The Business of Making Art. Take care. And thank you too. And now we just kind of rhyme off like we're talking. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Good.